President Bola Ahmed Tinubu keeps pretending that he is a good ruler, and some dishonest people are crediting Tinubu for economic reforms. But which economic reform? An economic reform of removal of subsidies from basic necessities of life to be funding pilgrimage boards and subsidizing pilgrimages. So is that economic reform? And now let us keep reminding ourselves the fundamental questions that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is dodging, and the dishonest people who are eulogizing him, including Professor Charles Soludo, a former governor of Nigeria's central bank and now the governor of Anambra State, eulogizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on what grounds? On the grounds of fuel subsidy is gone. When in the first instance, in fact, I'm now using this video to challenge Professor Charles Soludo to tell us the meaning of fuel subsidy in Nigerian context. Fuel subsidy by a nation living on petroleum money. Because now President Tinubu has removed subsidies from, well, so-called fuel subsidy from fuel. I don't know where he got subsidy to subsidize fuel. From what source? Now Charles Soludo is in the better position to tell us, because he's eulogizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his economic reforms. So we know of fuel subsidy by nations that don't have petroleum but other resources, and so subsidizing fuel for citizenry from other sources, but not in a nation like Nigeria. What do you mean fuel subsidy? Charles Soludo, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his supporters, tell us, what do you mean by fuel subsidy? And all other dishonest people mouthing fuel subsidy. So that is the first question. What does fuel subsidy mean in Nigeria? And of course, what economic reform hinges on removal of subsidies from basic necessities of life to be subsidizing pilgrimage boards and pilgrimages? What type of economic reform is that? Secondly, what warrants removal of subsidy from basic necessities of life? In a nation that should be enjoying in the wealth of petroleum, suffering from removal of subsidies. So that is the second one. Then removing subsidies from basic necessities of life and yet sinking Nigeria in debts. What does it mean? Hardly does Nigeria execute any project without linking it to a particular loan. What is Nigeria doing with her fuel money? All the subsidies gone, to what do they go? To better what area of the economy? Roads, no electricity, no water. So what are to drive industrialization of Nigeria? Many roads are still bad. Many roads are not finished. Even the one started by President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999, or Ibadan, Ilorin, or is it Ibadan Oyo, is still there. Under Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan, Muhammadu Buhari, and now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They be shouting, rail, rail, rail. Good luck, Jonathan. You would think he will rail all the roads in Nigeria, all the towns and villages in Nigeria. He squander all monies are going there, and they go to China to go and ask them to come and build railroads for us and provide us with railway or trains. Where are they now? Every government comes and shouting rail, train. Where are the trains? No electricity, no pipe-borne water flowing so that Nigerians can develop industrially. But now, particularly this government, removing subsidies from every imaginable thing, and yet sinking Nigeria in debt. And you now ask, if you are getting loan, even worse than your predecessors, who did not remove subsidies. So how do we categorize this type of government, this bankrupt government, corrupt government through and through? And in the first instance, how will Nigeria develop under war against the Boko Haram Muslim community since 2009 till date? A period of 16 years. Because even the civil war lasted only 3 years, 1967 to 1970. 3 years. But this war against the Boko Haram Muslim community, a single Islamic group since 2009, and getting stronger and still controlling villages. Going by what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself told us on June 12 this month, as a matter of fact, that they are struggling to rescue communities being controlled by criminals, terrorists, and bandits. Shame of a nation. Yeah, because all these things are created by government itself, starting with the government of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua being honored by dishonest people of Nigeria, including Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who honored him on June 12. He honored him for sinking Nigeria, for imposing the war against Boko Haram on Nigeria, because now the war against the Boko Haram Muslim community has become an excuse for stealing money in the name of buying equipment. Because when it comes to buying security equipment, who are they accounting to? They don't tell us. Nobody will tell you how many people we have lost to the senseless war, let alone how much money is going into it, and what is making Nigeria to be retrogressive. If only under the government of the All Progressives Congress alone, Nigeria ought to have moved forward, ought to have been better than what Olusegun Obasanjo left behind. But the truth of the matter is that since Umaru Musa Yar'Adua started the war against Boko Haram in 2009, it has become the major preoccupation of every one of his successors. Jonathan, his entire 4 years on fighting Boko Haram, nothing else to write home about. That's the truth. Buhari, 8 years, nothing to write home about. It's the same war. And then the armed bandits came to join. Then he himself empowered the herdsmen terrorists with AK-47. And nobody must touch the herdsmen terrorists. They are sacred house of government. So what are we talking about? So where are we going under war against Boko Haram and herdsmen terrorism, mushrooming armed bandits, and gross impoverization of Nigerians? Where are we going? And why should Nigeria, a secular country, which constitution prohibits state religion, be funding pilgrimage boards and subsidizing pilgrimages? So lawlessness. And and when you listen to the opposition group, my religion, and that is Christianity or Islam. The same religion sinking us in senselessness in churches and mosques, feeding us with garbage. One virgin gave birth to God who redeemed the world. One angel brought a book from heaven. All that garbage. And you are saying the legions of God. Let us stop all this nonsense and face the problem bedeviling Nigeria. Problem of bad governance. Problem of disorientation. Misplacement of priorities. Creating confusion where there should be none. Fuel subsidy. Subsidies from all basic necessities of life gone to be subsidizing Hajj. And that makes sense to you, Nigerians, Christians and Muslims. Sorry for you. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, answer our questions. What you mean by fuel subsidy, war against Boko Haram, herdsmen terrorism, removal of subsidies from all necessities of life to be subsidizing pilgrimages. Answer all this before you start talking rubbish about your achievement that is no achievement but retrogression and exploitation, fraudulent palliative schemes that you will never account for.